So here I am at Fanshawe College, and this is going to be just super raw footage of one of our regular paradigm shift meetings that we have here in the college. So this is the second one that we've had of 2013, and there's not really too much that I need to say. It's going to be an open discussion, and this week's topic is generic, esoteric, and ancient knowledge and esoteric knowledge. So basically we'll just see what happens. And I mean, I'm not really looking on talking too much, but I'm more interested in listening to what others have to say. So yeah, here's a taste of what goes down at a paradigm shift meeting. Anything and everything.
And you were saying, like, kind of reaching a neutral point, like just passively being there and kind of observing the scene and like learning what you can from it. Another alternative thing I would recommend is to set like an intention, like a really subtle, open intention, like sit down and meditate and just close your eyes and like think, take me to where I need to be and show me what I need to see, or like, you know, or I want to know about this, and then like, you know, concentrate on that for a while, and then open your eyes and stand up and like see where you are. And like, if you did it right, if you were like, if it wasn't to do with desire and it was to do with like you actually wanting to learn, then you'll find yourself like learning something, I'm sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sometimes when I have a really interesting dream, what I do is I write down what I dreamt about and all of the ideas and the thoughts that I have after waking up. And I feel like that's an interesting way to think about how dreams correspond with reality, because in real life sometimes similar things happen that happen in my dreams.
Yeah, totally. I would agree. Like, the way that I started getting into lucid dreaming was by writing down my dreams. Every day. Like, every day I write down my dreams. And that's, like, the best thing you can do, because you could be having lucid dreams and not even know it if you're not remembering them.
I have, like, a question about lucid dreaming, because I've recorded some of my dreams, like, on and off now, and I've never lucid dreamed, but I have, like, this question. When you have a dream, like, I've definitely had dreams that have, like, consoled me or, like, given me some piece of knowledge that I needed and, like, made things better for me in real life. But I'm wondering, like, when you're in the lucid dream and you know you're lucid, but you're, for example, letting it go on its own trail still, can you, like, infer or understand the messages more easily while you're still there rather than remembering back to it after you're awake?
It depends if you're used to being able to interpret. Like, you'd have to write down your dreams for a long time, understand what dream symbols mean what to you, and then when you're in the lucid dream, to take that in consideration. Like for one example, like waterfalls or like, you know, pools for this guy would be really like fortunate. So like if you really, you know, really want to learn something, then like you become lucid. Just like say your intention towards that, I guess. I don't know, it's hard to,
And it's like almost, like I have dreams and they're almost what I wanted out of them, but I wouldn't say that I was lucid. I would say that the dream still just happened to me.
I was
like
the same too.
Yeah, like
I haven't had many lucid dreams, and when it was just way too chaotic and like...
Yeah. Well, I don't know, I had this dream, like, I lost someone a while ago, and I had this dream where I was on this, like, dark, winding road, like, through a forest type deal, and all these people were, like, running like crazy, and, like, horror was going on or something, and I had no idea why. But then I came across the person who I lost, and I was like, oh, thank God I found you. Like, I never want to lose you again. And it was, like, after that, the whole dream just, like, shifted, and, I don't know, it, like, really consoled me after that. It was very interesting.
it's really symbolic.
Yeah, it sounded like you went through like the dark night of the soul through the forest, like any hero journey.
It was crazy. It was like there's lanterns and like stuff and like rubble. I can remember it really well.
Yeah.
I find that their dreams sort of like affect them chemically. Like I'll be like sleeping and someone's like really mad at me in my dream. They're just giving me shit. And like I'll wake up and I'll hardly remember it at all, but I'll just be like, man, I feel really guilty. what happened?
Yeah, there's like emotional transfer.
For your whole day. I don't know, it's kind of cool. It makes sense, I guess, to sort of like meditate in the morning for that exact reason.
It's also good to meditate before you go to sleep, so you enter into that space without like baggage.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go into baggage and then they're just dreaming their baggage.
God forbid you do your work in your dream.
Yeah.
I've done that.
I know.
When you wake up and go to work.
Like, my mom woke up and she was like, thought she was putting up the ladder. I was like, what the hell? I was still painting. But like,
That'd be cool if you could transfer it.
I was trying to, but it just wouldn't come back as well.
Well, painting, that'd be pretty hard to read.
It's hard, yeah, like it's hard to do that. Especially like even a few artists that have actually like achieved a state like where they're actually able to go back and like constantly go into the dreams and find where they did their paintings.
Cool, that'd be
Like these ones, like I don't know, I couldn't even. I wanted to do it. I really wanted. I remember like a little moment before I was just doing like these crazy spiral patterns everywhere, and then like I woke up and I really tried to call it back, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. Like, the more you do something, like the more you meditate, you know, the more like you'll come like more because that moment you're really becoming conscious in yourself, right? So the more you're conscious in yourself in a day or in moments of meditation, like if you do like an hour meditation in a day or twice a day, then those moments become that more clear in your dreams, right?
I did hear a good tip on keeping yourself lucid in dreams as well. Well, it's from a book, so I don't know the tip, but great book, Journey to Ixtlan, or Ixtlan, if anyone's ever read it. It's Don Juan.
What's it called? Journey
to Ixtlan, or something like IXTLAN or something like that.
Yeah.
Amazing book, really short, only like 200 pages or something. Highly recommend it. Bring a notepad, so you'll be writing down a lot. But yeah, at one point he's talking about how to maintain a dream, and he's just saying your hands normally will be the most commonplace thing that you know. So before you go to bed, try looking at your hands for about 5 or 6 seconds, and then switch to about 3 or 4 other items in the room for about 5 seconds each, maybe even less, and then look back at your hands. And the idea is to recreate that in your dream, because whenever things start to change or go away from whatever you want them to be, you look at your hands because you know those and you can like keep it that way, and then you slowly but quickly at the same time go from item to item, and it's supposed to like re-solidify everything that's in the room so it doesn't change without you being aware, and then all of a sudden you're in a different dream.
Grounds you in your dream.
Exactly.
Cool.
So whenever things start to like fade or start to change, you're supposed to like remember to look at your hands, and then like, but it's something you have to practice before bed. So
You also do that if you're having an anxiety attack. You look around in the room and make sure that you see it.
really,
Yeah.
oh, cool.
There's a similar technique or method I learned from a book I read once too. It's called Key to Soul. And the soul would be subject, object, location. So it's one you can both do waking life like right now and dreaming. Like the more you do in your waking life, the more it becomes into your dreams. So like the subject would be yourself. Where are you? Or like how are you with yourself?
So just being
in your
aware.
mind. Where's your mind? Like your mind's like you think you could be sitting here, but you could be like walking somewhere in your, or you could be thinking of where you want to go, or like what you want to do when you get home, right? Or like your normal habits.
So you're not really here.
Yeah, you're not here. Your mind's taking you somewhere different, right? So like where are you then? Like what are you cognizant of? And then objects would be like
Chair, sitting in a chair.
you're
You
sitting
feel
in a
it.
chair.
Reality
Yeah, can you
checks.
feel the chair? Can you feel
Table.
your
You
clothes
feel
on
the
your
table.
skin? You know, can you feel the table?
I think that's classic yoga meditation is doing that, becoming aware of every single
Yeah,
part
like-
of your body, and slowly feel the hair, and just like slowly cover your whole, become
Time.
practicing constant awareness all the
Relax your body
time.
and be aware of your body and be aware of the surroundings. Make sure everything is like set and like, you know, it's like, because sometimes in your dreams something could be off. So like the more you do in your waking life, just to be aware of the environment that you're in, the more you might become aware to something. Like say if like you develop a habit, like say Justin, you have like you're graphic designer, so like or you do the visual effects and stuff, so like you're always looking at a screen. So sometimes you might not fill in the ceiling or something like that.
Yeah, actually I do that sometimes. There's a painting in my office. There's a painting directly behind me of this field and a little red house. So like I gotta make sure that red house is there sometimes because like you know you get too deep into the motion graphics and you're just gone living in two-dimensional world.
Like all like little talisman kind
Yeah, like
Yeah, people usually carry
of, like you
things
know the
for,
weight of
like,
a dice.
Yeah, it's good to like be aware of like what
one
you
really
always
good
carry
thing
with
is
you.
written word.
I always got them.
Written words. I read something written on the back of my phone. It says, like a century in a time of war, smiley face.
And then location. How did you get here?
Right. Oh yeah. If you
And
can't
where are
get
you?
back, then
Yeah.
you know you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I was fishing.
Yeah, sometimes it's strange too. Like I'd be sitting in my room, or I'd be like walking down the street, and I'll be like in like I don't know, like a forest somewhere, like on top of a mountain. All of a sudden, it was like, and you're like okay with it.
Yeah, that's weird. That's something I've never understood about dreams, is how come, even though like my mind is there, like as it would be here, how come my mind passively accepts all these things that would be considered completely unreal in normal waking life, but it's considered completely normal? Then why? Why is it considered normal to me then when my ego is the exact same there? than it is here.
It's the exact same. Your ego is basically unleashed. Like when you're in your dreams, like it like leaves your body, right? Your essence is also free too, but like your ego is more rampant because of the time we're in and our state. So it's like you're dreaming your desires and stuff.
One time I was in a gym and then like I was running from people, and then next thing I knew, like I got a mall and then
The door's jammed. I can't open it. And I couldn't open it because there was jam on it.
It's bizarre.
It's true.
Another tip I would give, so like it has to do with memory as well. Like, so you're writing down dreams when you wake up. A good thing to do is practice your memory, your dream memory, and your waking memory. So like at the end of the day, before you like go to sleep, or before you meditate before you go to sleep, a good practice to do is retrospection. Like go back through your day and like remember what happened. Like every event, like obviously at the first when you're just starting with it, like remember the lessons you learned. Like that's the most important thing, is like so you don't repeat the same mistakes. And then from there, like once you get better with it, you can start like trying to remember every street you went down, or like people, etc. And then once you grow it, like anything, like when you're learning to play an instrument, it's really slow at the start, but then when you get better, like try to remember like everything, like live it as it was without your mind, like because it's actually a really good form of meditation, retrospection, because you know we're used to like to be able to concentrate on a specific task and do it without letting your mind take you away. Like for example, let's say you're thinking about your day, like okay, I was at the paradigm shift and I was talking to Matt, and then oh, Matt's really a cool guy, like I wonder what he's doing.
Remember the sofa I used this morning?
You know, we should hang out sometime. You know, and then you know you get off on it, but then you realize, oh shit, like bring it back.
Yeah,
you know, bring it back to where I was, and to actually be able to remember where you were before your mind wandered. That's a really good part of the practice. So
and you develop like
idea,
you understand the habits that you normally get into.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, and then after that, like you do that practice, the idea is you kind of like you're dislodging all the baggage out of your head, and you're going to like sleep with like a calm, cool, collected mind, and there's no like emotional baggage or like psychological baggage. And then you go to sleep, you have your dream, you wake up, and you do the exact same thing. Like where was I like a few moments ago, and like try to work your way backwards. So remember everything you could. You know, at the very start, it's what lessons did I learn, and then you know, like when you get better, it continues.
Yeah,
you know,
that's another factor. I didn't think that's how it connected, like that secondary system thing that I talked about before. Those in your secondary system also relates to like what they talk about with neuroplasticity.
yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
so like the more like you concentrate on like music or like any one thing you would seek to like concentrate your energy onto, like the more it builds networks into like your neurology, right? And like
Actually, I heard the greatest metaphor for that from this book I read called Connectome, and it's about like how the individual connections make up the information, not like the placement of the cells themselves.
Right.
But it's the guy's analogy was the energy of your mind and like the electricity is like the flow of water through a stream, shaping like the neurons and their patterns, just as much as the neurons and the patterns are the bed of the stream, shaping the flow of water.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really good.
And tributaries are formed over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why like I think it's so interesting. Like anything you're doing in the moment, you're increasing your ability at that. So like neurologically speaking, our neuroplasticity is working in the zone of, I mean, for me speaking, for everyone else listening, right? So you're getting better if you're like concentrating, your mind's not wandering. Otherwise, you're just strengthening that pathway, your wandering mind, just random pathways that have no purpose, right? But then like to be able to strengthen those like the focus of that electricity in your brain, like that's what meditation is. It's like learning how to actually flex the neurons and like know how to control the shape of lightning in your brain or whatever. I don't know, but like that's the best way I would try to describe it in scientific terms. Meditation.
No, it's like you have this idea for the mind you want, and to like get there, you have to like forge this brain to contain it, like
And blacksmith.
yeah, and then hammer it away on it.
Well, your metaphor is great because it's definitely directly related to esoteric knowledge in general. The macrocosm is related to the microcosm, as above, so below.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is like the same. I mean, you can find an analogy to any other part of the universe or a metaphor for anything to anything, which I love. I mean, it's just like connections everywhere.
mind, the painting that we saw, mine was the water jug, so the water.
Yeah, mine was the one through back to your
Yeah. And actually in like the esoteric symbolism in a lot of Christian and Christian works is the Holy Spirit. You know, the Holy Spirit enters through the sacred water, like baptism, and if you look at when Jesus like died or like whatever, and like he incarnated that spirit, like the Holy Spirit came into him. It was through water. It was through water as well, and it's really interesting. It has to do with
it was during his baptism. Yeah. After his baptism, the Holy.
Often have we seen every single river? No. You know, like we don't, and like every single pattern. Do we sit there and watch the river entire life? Good.
If someone told me that
we categorize it and put it away.
So you don't watch the river, you are the river. Like you're not the same person you were because you're just a pattern that's a representation of that person.
if someone told me that every 7 years our cells completely renew, and so that we are a completely different person,
skin cells
chemically,
is only like a year even.
and then
it
changes for different cells, like brain cells.
Down to every atom. Like you are not the same matter you were 7 years ago. Like you're a different part of the universe
You get
now.
a new name every 10 years.
And all in all, we're only like 1% matter. That blows my fucking mind.
There's like so much bacteria in empty space.
Yeah.
We're not even like human.
Yeah, they found like so many like awesome hints that like amino acids can just be formed by regular space chemistry, and then like probably life is everywhere.
Realize is that when you wake up in the middle of the night, you're not awake. You're just dreaming that too. Like a good like 70% of the time that you wake up in the middle of the night, all of us, you're not actually waking up.
The only
you're tossing and turning, but you're still there. Like
the only way I can tell is when I wake up in the middle of the night, I always go for a drink of water. So if it's like there's not as much water as I thought there was, it's like okay, I forgot about waking up. But if there's more, then it's like okay, clearly I was still sleeping when I got up.
Well, I remember it was freaking like when I was like 12, waking up in the middle of the night, and I'd be like hearing like I'd get up and go for water, and everything would be perfectly lucid, but I could hear like a grandfather clock extremely loud, like doo 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 doo, and it's just like that half, like you're fully awake, so you see, like so it seems you can pinch yourself and probably still feel it, and yet like at the same time you're not even there.
It's one of my favorite mind states to be in. It's just like in the early warm morning when you just like wake up for a few minutes.
Best time for meditation.
You're like still halfway in.
Yeah, totally. I know what you're saying, and like, yeah, I think that's where like stuff like the boogeyman and like demons come from, or angels too. Like, you know, people are always like saying like, you know, they see like there's a lot of esoteric people, like esoteric schools talk about how like, you know, what's one I can think of. There's one where this guy was a composer and he made this like song on the violin in one day because after he woke up and he wrote the entire thing. He said like that the devil was like playing the violin to him while he was sleeping, or like he saw the devil like in his room and he was playing that song, and that's how he learned it.
The guy who invented the piano, or like remade the, or like some like there's not like some like designs for it. But the guy who made like the grand piano had like a dream about the design of it. Woke up and like just designed the whole thing. And then Nikola Tesla too.
Oh, Tesla.
Yeah, he did. He dreamt that he designed the, and when he was still in Europe, had dreamt that he designed the generators for the Niagara Falls. Wow. And then like it didn't even fully come to him until one morning. Yeah, when there's like a couple of days after, like the day after, he's walking down like a pathway by a river with one of his friends, and like the whole dream just came back to him, and he freaked out and had to write it out.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Like that's so trippy. The fact that like almost everything that our world is made of came from that guy. Like electricity was invented by Nikola Tesla, and he was saying it was coming from aliens from Mars.
Everyone has
he was out there.
Made them like real.
Yeah, and who knows what more we missed out on.
Yeah,
and just because of funding getting pulled.
Yeah.
There was a huge fire that he had like in his place.
They burned his.
Well, it's because of his wooden structure, right? It wasn't all metal.
Yeah, and he burned like everything down, but he was okay with it. I love like his just like comments and everything. It's like I'll do it again.
No, they got a bunch of stray cats and dogs from the neighborhood, and then like electrocuted them all in front of everyone to scare them away from Tesla.
Oh yeah, is it like that? AC voltage, it'll kill you. Like, what, your DC
You don't want to look
like,
crazy.
That's crazy.
Just modern witch burning.
Yeah,
Just
it's
sounds
exactly
like
what
me.
Yeah. Oh, thing about wish burning that I just discovered too. Where I kind of came upon the like traditionally known like in like the native cultures and then even the cultures before like ancient Greece, like you know what I mean, they just were doing it by means that we were not understanding anymore at that point, and they were doing practices for healing that these people didn't want to see done anymore, and they just completely like just got rid of everything that burned at the stake. And then now we see Patrick, you really took over that point because all the traditional like academia, like the doctorate fields like became men, right? And like it kind of messed everything up.
I always kind of like to view science as, I mean, magic or black arts magic as science yet to be discovered. Or science yet to be understood.
We had no idea what they were working with. We just seen like this like from afar, like this like these like rituals or like these practices they're doing, and like just freak people out. Like the American ghost dance for example, that was not even related to witchcraft or medicine. These guys were just doing a sacred dance ritual, and they happened to do this weird call and like this like chant around a fire like and for a long period of time. And then it turns out that when these colonialists were pushing west in America, when they were pushing west and they observed this ghost dance, they call it, so there was this dance for the spirits, they massacred the entire tribe. The entire tribe. Anyone who had anything to do with it, like there's some people that got away, but...
Yeah, all the information had to be buried.
And then the Mayan, when those conquistadors came, they burned like a good proportion of the Mayan texts, libraries, everything. And the worst part about it too, that the Aztecs and the Mayans, they let them in freely because the Aztecs in Tenochtitlan, they thought Cortez was
all of existence stems from this physical realm, and then goes out. Like you have the spectrum of
not
light,
like
right?
the out in.
So like you have the spectrum of light is right here. Now, somewhere like in that is the color spectrum. Everything we know, we can see, touch, taste, hear, is in this tiny little thing of what we know like the electromagnetic spectrum is. And we believe, because we're so foolish, that our reality, that this reality stems from the center of that, right?
Okay,
but like all these esoteric teachings, these ancient teachings have always expressed something
reality
otherwise.
is made from the mind, kind of.
Well, that it comes from somewhere else.
Yeah.
That like this is actually the most solid, dense, like the very end product, rather than the exact opposite,
product,
which
not the
science
process.
believes.
Is it holographic? Or like
There's
reality as a byproduct?
I kind of subscribe to like a Matrix style theory where it's like it's infinitely unlikely that this is the one true universe, as every universe is capable of producing a virtual reproduction of itself. It's infinitely more likely that we're in like the very end of a series of like simulations. So it's like the idea is to like wake up in each simulation again and again, infinitely, until you're at the one true universe, if there is such a thing.
Yeah, there's one way I've heard it expressed as well is like, we have a problem with paradoxes, the mind. So when we think, okay, that we're the end product or the end product's there, we don't realize that there and here are the exact same, and they're both the end product, as well as the beginning point.
It's a certain
so like
end point.
we think that because our mind can't wrap around that, it's a paradox. Like, you know, how can I be here and there at the same time? Like, or how can this world be where all of reality stems from and somewhere else? But like what they describe in like esoteric traditions is that every piece of it is where it comes from and is perfect
and
in that way. So it's like, you know what a fractal is, right?
Yeah, I do.
It's kind of like that, like where it's all the same equation,
everything
but it's just
is everything is in every piece of it. It's like each cell in your body having the code for the rest of your body.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a perfect analogy for life to describe the universe. Like,
a single cell of your DNA has the shape of your nose, your ears, and like, even though like it isn't your nose and isn't your ears, but like you could take someone's DNA and be like, well, I mean, we can't.
It's just a piece. I mean, it can totally be done. I mean, it's the realm of possibility now is different than the realm of possibility tomorrow, right?
I read something that interested me recently. It kind of like relates along the lines of what you were talking about a little bit. It's more so like what you can do with like the more you know or observe yourself. Like, there's this determinative energy in nature that like we have our mechanical, like it becomes mechanical, our habitual ways of thinking, you know, and being. Like we are separated from nature. Like as human species right now, I find we are more urbanized and separated from nature. We're more mechanical. But we say the more you observe and aspire to yourself, there's this determinative energy in nature, where it actually like some part of it will guide you throughout your thought patterns, and you actually can see your thoughts forming. It's an interesting concept I read, but like you can like observe the formation of your thoughts.
Yeah, they express that a lot in some certain esoteric traditions. Like they say, through the intense practice of meditation, one first begins at the beginner's level of meditation is merely recognizing that they don't have control of the mind. Like that's the first step of meditation.
Right.
Then the second step would be to try to concentrate so the mind doesn't wander. So like letting the mind, no matter what without their control, like the mind wanders and they bring it back, the mind wanders and they bring it back, the mind wanders and they bring it back. That'd be the second stage of meditation and development. Then well, I wouldn't number them, but like those are the next stage of a development, they would say, is when one's actually able to focus. And like that would be that's like the very happen, right? Like that would be like a good like 20 years of meditation.
Yeah.
They're described, but they never put numbers on it.
Yeah,
because it depends on how hard a person tries and how often they try. And then they would say the next stage of development would be to notice. They would be able to see thoughts. They would see their mind wander before it even wanders, like, and to be able to stop that formation, and then like deeper and
well,
deeper.
And it's
deeper.
almost like every time you step out of yourself, like another layer. It's like you gain that new perspective about the processes like going on at the center of that thing that is your mind. I mean,
yeah, it's like at the start you have to practice and then look back and be like, whoa, what happened? And then practice and look back and be like, what happened? But eventually it's something that happens in real time. So at first you propose to meditate for the first time, you would still have to be able to stop and look back at what happened, or you wouldn't learn, right?
Yeah, you wouldn't
because if someone doesn't first come to the realization that they actually have no control over their mind, then they won't be able to go to the next stage.
Yeah.
Because their mind would say, this isn't working, and they'd quit. And when that's the barrier they're trying to break past, right? And then on top of, it's crazy, man. But like the whole thing is we trick ourselves. It's all a mind game.
I've been using this like model to like help me like think lately in that book, like just like the extra dimensions. Like I've really been thinking hard on that, and I love the idea of like changing your place in space of time, giving you like new insight because of like the change in perspective. Like if you look at a tesseract, like a 4-dimensional cube, it's like turn it 90 degrees, it looks like a cube that's been dragged. Turn it another 90 degrees, it looks like a cube within itself because of the perspective. And it's like each time you turn this, you learn more about the thing that you're examining. It's just like, that's totally how like a baby learns too. I mean, pick something up and it's like, I have no idea what this is. It starts just looking inside, and it's totally natural to the human experience to explore things in that way.
And that's how you have to approach the mind. Because like we think we know what it is, but the truth is we think it's us. We think that our thoughts are us. But like if you're able to actually do that, like as a child like would like pick up an object they don't understand whatsoever and to look at it and be like, what is this? Like really? Like and like try to interact with it in any way, like yeah, that's totally a good
That's like that movie Pi.
Yeah.
Like for a second, like it's kind of doesn't a more gruesome manner, but like he's like in this really like kind of strange state. But like I think he's dreaming in the subway or something.
He's almost dreaming.
He's
like
almost dreaming.
It's like
you
don't know when.
Yeah, it's hard
not
to know
a
at
dream,
that
it's
point.
just like
You don't know
he's
what's
in a different
happening.
place.
Yeah, he's just it's like high state. He's trying to figure out the number of like everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like he comes to this point like where he's like hearing this strange sound, like this weird buzzing sound, and he finds like there's like some old lady walking around, like then she disappears. Yeah, and then like there's like his brain on the ground.
Yeah, like on the steps of this cold concrete subway. And you're just like, oh,
yeah, and then like we're like kind of like what's happening. And then like he goes in to like poke it, and like it makes this like this crazy sound, and like he's just like. Just goes at it again, and like he really goes at it, and like he like show him sticking his hand, and then like freaks out on the train, like wakes up or something, and like what the hell is that?
That's trippy.
It was really it was really trippy. It's like
a really symbolic dream too.
Very, yeah, it's very symbolic because like he kind of just reminded me what you're talking about. Like he's approaching like it's still his brain, but he doesn't really know what it is.
I saw like this most amazing documentary. Had nothing to do with the beginning and opening scene.
Knowledge, like I must practice it if I want to progress as an individual. But like we don't in our society, like we're so ingrained in our society, and our society is designed in a way to prevent you.
The lazy consumer culture.
So you have the choice to either perfect yourself because of the most resistance is outside of you, or it's hard to explain, but it's like the harder the society you live in, the more perfected an individual can become, right? So like in the same way that we're extremely challenged because we don't know how to make theory into practice, when we learn how to cross that threshold and like practice consistently, then like we can understand these things in more than just a theoretical way, right? Because like it's nice being in a room talking with people who all like have common interests and are actually interested in exploring this, but like beyond the theories that we've accepted from somebody else is like all the theories that existed from these masters, like these esoteric masters that have made like different schools and different traditions that have created these have all been masters of meditation, and we're just trying to teach us like the best thing a master can do is teach a student how to gain access to their own knowledge rather than having to rely on them. The only reason that they would create an immensely intricate system was so that they could learn how themselves work. So like I think that's one really big thing is like we have a lot of theory but we don't have practice, and like if we can break past that, then we're actually living in the perfect world to work esoterically. You can make every moment an esoteric practice, but I think the problem is that we're so caught in the mind, and the mind is the barrier. So we're teaching our mind these esoteric theories when the mind is the cage that prevents us from completely understanding or actualizing them.
Transcend the mind, right? They say like we have all these crazy things happening in our mind, like these theories are coming up, but like they say like until we know it emotionally, until we, like you said, I like what you said last week, living the questions that we were asking.
That wasn't something I said. It was something else.
Someone else said. I remember you trying to quote something.
Yeah, that quote is
like
it's
when you like bring it down to like they even say it's like scientifically you learn like way quicker if it's in your an emotional like connection.
Here, I'll try to because you was there last time.
Yeah.
So that's like that's what the website that I wrote there.
We don't like.
But that has the information for the Friday meeting.
People ask questions, and some people accept answers.
Yeah, I'm glad you
so there's ones who question, and then there's one who accept answers. But then down the middle path, is one who lives the question, because they're no longer interested in seeking an answer, no longer interested in just asking questions. It's through living the question that we achieve truth. Because an answer and a question are opposites, are polar opposites, and they prevent like actual knowledge of the truth.
It's like cognitive dissonance.
It's like the dissonance you have in your mind when you're like imagining a paradox. It's like it's a space in between two solid points where you like feel the idea but not necessarily know it.
Yeah, it's unclear.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah. So on that subject, like let's practice. Let's try to. I didn't practice meditation. You guys want to practice some meditation? Trying to. We do practice.
See?
Yeah,
I know.
I never really looked at it.
I know.
Dude, we were talking about time the whole time.
Yeah, that's true. I only just like 1 second look at it. Okay.
It's really crazy. After you turn away from that clock, everything was like.
That would be wild. I always used to like dream about that when I was a kid. Like, what would I do if I stopped time? You know, close.
Yeah.
It's part of the paradigm shift.
It is, man. We're causing that. Like quantum time warp going on.
Like I can't everything.
Yeah.
So make sure whoever's leaving, make sure you grab a DVD before you go, and share it. After you cut the files off the DVD, share it, because the best way to spread knowledge is to
data.
give someone an to also. Live the questions. Live that question. What am I capable of? Because you can't just you can't ask that question to anybody but yourself.
Am I capable of?
And because like that's actually a really good question.
Yeah.
what am I capable of? Because, you know, like, you can ask the question as much as you want, but it won't be able to give you the truth.
Yeah,
and someone can give you tons of answers what you're capable of, but it won't be the
I've
truth.
been looking for like
how would you
what
know
you
that,
were
right?
saying, like
How
what
would
that
you-
question. That's like totally hitting home right now. It's
Exactly,
very
and that's actually a great question for that statement.
I like that.
Like that'd be good because the only way you know you're capable of something would be to apply that the capacity towards
And
it.
yeah,
You know,
you'd
that
have
is
to
by
push your,
experiencing
you'd
it, by
have to,
initiating
you'd
it.
have to push yourself past your capabilities to see if that's what actually your ceiling is.
What am I capable of? It's not I am capable of this.
No, it's
No,
you don't
it's
know
what.
until you try.
Yeah.
You have to jump in the water.
And the more you push the envelope, the further that would go. What am I capable of? Well, I'm capable of this, and you just keep learning and learning and learning. That's a good one. Oh,
That is a
I'm
good
gonna
one.
use that
Wow.
too.
No, that's totally perfect. Because like, I'm totally like trying to just.
Another thing that I heard that was really inspirational recently was it wasn't actually like anything philosophical from a philosopher. It was actually from a boxer. He got a boxer describing his own like how he became like the best boxer in Canada. And he basically at one point he realized that he was afraid while he was in the ring. But then he realized like if I'm going to choose for the rest of my life to be a boxer and to step into this ring, I've got to give it every fiber of like energy that I have towards it. Or otherwise, there's no point in stepping in the ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and that's the hardest part too, is dedicating yourself to just one road. It's like the second you divide your efforts, it's like for nothing.
Well,
You have to,
the
like,
road
really
could be
focus
this
on it.
moment, like
Oh yeah,
just like
the road is
being
a
able to-
place. We go nowhere. I mean,
Well, the destination is the journey, right?
yeah, exactly right.